Michael from CTW here, and we're going to show you all the power you have in the test data tab when using CTW probe analysis software. The test data area is over here. This is where you open and close data files, where you turn them on and off for visuals on your graphs, various ways like that. But in this area, you have a lot of additional features that you may or may not know about, and we're just going to go through these. So the easiest way is to just give us a little area here, a little space, move that over. And many customers have found using two monitors really helps because they can just expand and get so much more information in a very quick manner. So, you know, we loaded, this is a test we ran in another video. This is a test I ran to do the live control videos. But if you come down to this column and click on this, it expands. All of these can be displayed up here based on your preference. So every user can do exactly what they want or don't want. So for instance, I can click on rod force and rod force shows up. I can click on rod diameter and gas pressure. And we'll just go and look at those. So I've turned those all on, and in the test data tab area, you can see we now have rod force. We now have rod diameter. And now this tells me immediately the test I ran this on does not have the rod diameter command. If you remember that command, that gives you the pressure ability, so set rod diameter. So if you don't get pressure, that's why. And we'll go back here. We have this PVP, and we have rod force for the PVP. We add the command shaft diameter on the PVP, and because we've added the rod diameter, we can have the software tell us what the gas pressure is. So you can do a lot and see a lot by, you know, turning on these various things. You can get any number of things, and typically we call these just constants. They're the things that we collect with every data file and allow you to show on the screen, basically. But you can see it is endless what you can show there. Most of this you just wouldn't, but there are certainly times when you want to see the rod force because you're trying to compare different shocks, or maybe you want to see the temperature because you have a 20 speed PVP and you want to know what the temperature started at and what the temperature ended at, because clearly temperature has a large effect on a damper. So this is how you turn them off and turn them on so that you can view. And you just, if you want them to go away, not a problem. You just unclick them, they go away, and it clears right up, and you get back to wherever it is you wanted to be. So the next thing we'll do is I'll scroll this back over here. You'll see this RF column. That is rod force. And what that does is when this is checked, it takes out the rod force. That command we ran where we stop at mid-stroke, we measure the load cell, and then remove that from the data as if it's a static spring. If I uncheck this, you can see it puts the rod force back in. So that's what that means. RF is rod force. With it checked, it removes the rod force. With it unchecked, it puts it back in. So you can see how it moved up the graph because that rod force is just a static spring. It adds to the overall data. The key here is you're able to run a damper at 50 PSI, and then if you go to 150 PSI, clearly there's a bigger internal spring. It moves it up the graph, but if we run a rod force command, everything will line up wherever it may be when it goes through zero. So that's also how that is used. Some other things you can do is you can sort. And that means that if you grab, say, this ID, you can grab it and drag it up there, and it will now sort by ID. So every time you have another damper, you're just going to have it by ID, and all you're going to do is expand the trees or hide the trees as you go. So there's a lot of power in there, especially as you get 5, 10 data files all coming down the tree. There's different ways to sort, and then when you're done, you just grab it with your mouse and throw it off, and it goes back to this view. So with this data tab, you can also see that under the tree there's these individual speeds, and by clicking on them you can see they all show up. They're all different colors, and you can imagine if you have 2 files, 3 files, any number, all these colors are going to just keep going in the order you set. You can change that. If you go to Preferences and Colors, right now everything is just going to keep going by this color tree. If I say click on this box, color items from the same file the same color, and click OK, you can see the PVP file in the speeds within it, they all become red, and the first file is orange. That way it may or may not be a little bit easier to read. It's certainly easier to compare one file to another, one speed to another, as long as they're, all the first shock is red, the second shock's orange. You can just see that. Some other things that people do is, say you have 4 shocks, your left front, left rear, right rear. If you run them in the same order, you can make the colors automatically set so that the first color is orange. It's always the left front. You know that you always run the right front second. It's always red. You always run the left rear third, and you set that color at blue, and then you run the right rear fourth, and it's black. That way, whenever you look at the screen, you know automatically the color matches the corner that you're used to doing. You're used to repeating. So there's a lot of things you can do in here to make it exactly the way you want to see it. There you go. Enjoy. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, contact us using the information in the video description.